open the page.
I don't want to hear you say that.
Put that umbrella around the one and take it off you.
Warum?
Anna Clark's about to face one of the toughest tests of her career. After just a year as head of languages at Grey Court School in Richmond upon Thames, she's about to conduct her first performance management observation on a teacher 20 years her senior.
Habt ihr verstanden? Gut. Macht.
In her time, Audrey Elliott's run 4 languages departments. She has 2 years to go before retirement.
Last task. Shh.
John Bailey's on the case.
Just tell me a bit about you and her.
OK. Well, Audrey's far more experienced than I am. She has been a head of department before, which makes it even more difficult, I feel, for me as a new middle manager to be observing her and giving her feedback. Yeah. And I'm not sure whether there are a lot of people who feel the same as me, but it is very difficult if there's somebody who has a lot more experience than you to be able to sit in that chair and...
The key thing is that you have a professional conversation around the points that you and she have identified. If you hang on to that, that's the kind of golden thread of the observation.
Yeah.
Grey Court's focus is GCSE CD borderlines.
So, wir werden hier anfangen.
Audrey's targets, agreed with Anna, include ensuring the maximum engagement of pupils and concentrating on questioning techniques.
Okay.
Hallo, ich wohne in einem Reihenhaus.
Audrey has a mixed ability Year 10 German class of 32.
In terms of the balance between teacher-led and student-led, what's your hunch about it?
Possibly leading to slightly more teacher-led. There was a fair bit of it that was the students working on their own, but a lot of it was teacher-led.
OK.
Sehr gut. Und seit wann wohnt Maria hier? Seit wann wohnt sie hier?
Seit 2 Jahren.
Seit 2 Jahren. Sehr gut, ausgezeichnet. Was hätte sie gern in ihrem Haus? Was hätte sie gern in ihrem Haus? Sie hat schon eine Sauna und ein Schwimmbad. Was hätte sie auch gern? Ja.
Ein Freibad im Garten.
Ein Freibad im Garten. Also, sehr gut.
I noticed that lots of the questions were single questions.
Wie viele Zimmer gibt es unten?
Teacher asks a question, student gives an answer, teacher turns around to another student and asks another question.
Yeah.
So if you got the answer right, or if you passed, you were kind of off the hook. So I wondered about the level of pressure that was being created by the questioning.
I mean, I thought they were confident in answering.
Billiger.
Aber vielleicht auch ein bisschen gefährlicher.
Ja. Und am Ende wäre.
Werde.
Ausgezeichnet. Very well done. Good. Excellent.
There were very few children who did not want to answer, which I think is a good thing, because obviously the atmosphere...
Yes, and they were under pressure from the observation as well, weren't
exactly, and so, have so many of them who were happy to respond and who did so well, I thought was a really good indicator that her learning environment is a very positive one.
Du bist Dieter und du bist Maria. Also.
Wie viele Zimmer hat dein Traumhaus?
8.
Das heißt...
Mein Traumhaus hat ein Wohnzimmer, ein Esszimmer und eine Küche im Geschoss.
Was hast du im ersten Stock?
Im ersten Stock habe ich eine...
Under the engagement heading, is there anything that you would like?
I mean, I'd be interested in hearing what she thinks. She would be the one that would be able to comment on the level of engagement, I think. But as far as something that she could develop regarding that, I don't really know.
OK, so we ask.
Yeah.
Or rather, you ask. I'm just going to watch.
Yeah.
Could you please work together? And in 5-6 minutes or so, I'm going to ask you exactly where each person would consider their Traumhaus to be, OK? 5 Minuten. Work together, read through.
Do you feel more, less, or the same level of apprehension as when we were talking earlier on?
Less.
Yeah, I mean, as a matter of fact, so do I, sort of on your behalf. It's a conversation with another adult, isn't it? It's a pair of reflective practitioners having a professional conversation.
And having seen the lesson, and now know what I'm going to talk about, it's very difficult when you're discussing what you're going to talk about when you haven't actually seen the thing that you're going to talk about.
Yeah.
As far as the participation, they were on task and they were participating for a huge part of the lesson. You made sure that you were asking all the students questions, that all of them had the opportunity to answer at various points during the lesson.
Kannst du mir bitte einen ganzen Satz sagen? Whole sentence.
Sie leben.
Sie hätte gerne.
Sie hätte gerne in New York.
In New York.
Leben.
Leben oder wohnen. Gut. Brigitte hätte gerne in New York wohnen. Warum? Warum möchte sie gerne in New York wohnen? Warum? Jemand? Nein, zu schwierig? Why? Why would she like to live in New York? Seb, probier mal.
Because
Es wäre...
I'm not sure.
Anybody.
Is there anything? I mean, how did you feel? Were you happy with the level of participation that you felt was going on in the lesson?
There were 1 or 2 students who, I think they get a little bit shy and they say that they haven't done whatever you've asked them to do, and they use that as an excuse not to perform. And I need something to bring those particularly shy children out to speak, just to raise their confidence level.
Ich wollte schon immer in Liverpool leben.
In Liverpool. Warum?
Ich ist... Was war das?
Weil es eine Fußballmannschaft gibt?
Ja.
Ja, das habe ich gedacht, ja? Sag, weil es eine Fußballmannschaft gibt.
Eine Fußballmannschaft.
Gut, und das ist deine Lieblingsfußballmannschaft, ja? Stimmt das? Your favorite, okay. Was Sam?
Am liebsten würde ich auf einer Insel ganz in der Nähe von dem Japan. Es wäre natürlich schon als hier, aber dafür viel gesünder. Mein Inselleben irgendwo im Atlantik, über viel warm.
Excellent, well done.
I mean, one thing it could have been worth mentioning there would be to do with why you have to be able to justify and give opinions about things and actually link that back to the GCSE criteria. I mean, at this stage in Year 10, they're not very familiar with that, so I think that's something that happens as you go through the course. But that would be a good way to bring that in then. And I did like when one of the students was struggling, you gave an option or a possible answer, and then they felt quite happy to just adapt that and to change it. Is there anything that you feel that you'd like to sort of develop more, or that you're particularly happy with, or not? I'm
not sure it's a case of developing more, really. You do feel very conscious when it's such a large class, the sheer amount of time it takes to include everyone.
If there are tasks in the lesson which enable the students to be working on their own, then it frees you up to be able to then go around and help individuals.
Which is, I think that's, it's a good point, and I think that's where group work comes into that. But again, you're going back to class size. It's just not, it's the least conducive subject to have large groups in a GCSE class.
Yeah.
Dominique. Nein? Willst du nicht antworten? Okay. Tim.
Because I mean, something that I was thinking could have been a nice activity for them to do would be a writing task, which is also linked to that, and then they could have performed in pairs or in small groups.
That probably is a good thing to develop into the next lesson.
Which would give the sort of, you know, the students who aren't as happy with doing that kind of activity would have the support there in the example, but it gives opportunities for those more imaginative and daredevil students to do something a little bit different. And do you feel that the areas that we looked at today, by looking at those and developing those further, that you will help yourself achieve that target?
I think, yes, I do think so, yes. Thank you for that,
So I hope you found it as helpful as I did. I really enjoyed watching the lesson, and
thank you.
I hope the feedback's been helpful as well.
Very helpful, thank you.
With Audrey's many years running departments, Anna's own management style eventually becomes an issue, especially the question of class size.
25% of that curriculum is speaking. And you know, I don't know how I can get round them all to give them that much time that is deserved.
If you put yourself in her shoes just for a minute, what could she do for you?
Fight more.
OK, so one of the jobs...
Be tougher.
So one of the jobs of the head of department is to fight more and fight for resources.
I think so. You have to fight for your corner. That's one thing I have learned in all my schools. I mean, I used to be married. I am married to what used to be a head teacher, so I probably am a little bit more foolhardy and headlong than most, but, you know, I know that that's what they think. You fight for your corner. And
with reviews like this, they can be a put-upon thing. They can be another box to check and another thing to go through. Or they can be a really useful opportunity to have a professional discussion.
Yes, I think so.
You're stuck with these big groups. What can you do about it?
Yeah.
Do you want to go and look at some rooms where there's people doing group work and finding out what else is being done in the school? I think by doing that with large groups, you capitulate, and things will never improve if you capitulate. If I'm finding out fantastic ways of dealing with it, then people are going to come to me and say, oh, we can stick another 3 in there, no problem. And I know that might sound very naive, but we're not helping those children, and we're accepting it. And I'm really sorry, but we shouldn't be accepting it for their benefit, not for ours. I mean, we're paid for all this. We're paid to work hard and jump through hoops. You were under quite a lot of pressure, weren't you, there? Because that's an experienced colleague.
Yeah.
Who's got really strong views.
Yeah.
One of the things that we were being told in code was head of department must fight for more equipment, time and space for their department, and then they might get a bit more time of day from me. That's probably putting... That might be putting it a bit strongly. But that was partly what was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think...
There's only so many times you can ask things and be told no.
Yes.
And there is a point when I have complained about things and I've just been told no. And I think I'm very much of the opinion that if that happens, then you just get on with it and you make the best of it.
An aspect of being a head of a department is you're between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
Because what's your primary unit? Is it this team that you're building to make an excellent department? Or is it building the school as an excellent school and impressive in national terms?
Yeah.
So those are big issues, aren't they?
Yeah, very. Ones which I don't feel I can quite come to terms with and today.